Hello everyone, today we are going to be looking at the third question that's going to come up in the Medicine Through Time paper. This being, how could you follow up source A to find more information about? So the entire purpose of this question is you providing a detailed kind of breakdown of the steps that you could take to boost your understanding about a certain aspect of source A. Now, this question is worth 4 marks, and with any 4-mark question, you want to get through it as rapidly as possible, so ideally looking to finish this off under the 5-minute mark. Now, when you're looking at the test paper itself, it gives you a very clear breakdown of what is going to be required. In the first section, you want to provide something in the source that you could use more information on to fully understand, and this must be a direct quote. Then you need to link it to the question you would ask. So what question could you ask to be able to have a greater understanding of the information in the quote? So there needs to be a clear link between the question you're asking and the quote you've provided. Then you need to provide which source you are going to use, but you need to be specific. It's not just going to be a diary entry and newspaper extracts, but it needs to go further than that. Whose diary entry and newspaper extract from what country and what year? And then you would like to write, why would this type of source help you answer your question? And this must both link to the source and the question. So in this section, every part needs to link together. And this idea of linking is echoed in the mark scheme. It states that you need to provide detail in source A that could form the basis of a follow-up inquiry, this being a direct source, and a question that you would ask based on that quote that you've provided. And then also you need to identify the source that you would look to answer this question and state how it might help answer the chosen follow-up question. So why would this source help you answer the question that you initially wrote? So structure is covered. So what we are going to do is look at the question, how could you follow up source A to find out more about the problem of trench foot? Now, each section will vary depending on the question that you come up against and the source that you choose. However, for the type of source that you could use, you can always kind of default to this list, this idea of diaries, photographs, letters, speeches, government document, hospital records. These would all be good, but once you've stated the type of source, you just need to go that little bit further and say whose diary entry, a photograph of what, just give that little bit more detail. For example, a soldier's diary entry of those fighting of the Western Front in 1917, for example, just adding that little bit more for the source. And top tips would be each section needs to link to one another. If they don't link together, they're not going to count towards the mark, and obviously you'll lose a very easy mark. And the questions and sources must be as specific as you can fathom at that point in time. So the first question we are going to look at is how could you follow up source A to find out more information about the problem of trench foot? So the quote that I have chose, the detail in source A that I would follow up is underlined here. Men were sent 2 at a time to rub each other's feet with grease, Now, based on this quote, it kind of raises the question for me, what other methods of prevention were used to prevent trench foot? Was it just the use of grease, or was there anything else that people would use to prevent trench foot? So obviously we can see there it's a specific question, and it is linking directly into that quote. Now, the type of source that I might use for this would be the diary entry of a soldier who fought on the Western Front. So once again, kind of going back to those stock phrases, a soldier's diary of those fighting at the Western Front, using that again. And how might this help answer my question? And in this, I kind of state my thought process. This source might detail other methods that soldiers use to prevent them getting trench foot. So I'm saying the source is going to detail methods of prevention linking into that question. So this last point linking the other two. Now, I feel the best way to understand these kind of questions is just to repeat them, so we're going to go over a few more. This question, how could you follow up source A to find out more about the use of blood transfusions on the Western Front? Now, in this, I've picked out the quote, They wanted a volunteer to give blood for a transfusion. Now, this quote makes me wonder what would happen if a volunteer to give blood could not be found, as in, after that point, what would happen next? Now, the type of source I could use for this, really getting specific here, is the RAMC records for hospitals carrying out blood transfusions. And finally, how would this type of source help answer my questions? Well, the records would show how many injured soldiers died from blood loss or shock rather than from a fatal injury. So I'm kind of getting a better idea of just how many people did not get their volunteer to provide blood and what the end result of that would be. Would it be that they would die as a result? So to summarize, the one thing that you need to take away from this is everything needs to link. The quote needs to link to the question needs to link to the source, and the final section needs to link the quote to the question to the source. Your main aim in this question is just making sure everything links together and that everything is as specific as you can possibly fathom. The more specific, the better. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.